So what strikes me as interesting is everybody's sudden fascination with double-walled beverage containers. I suppose you can hold things other than beverages, but double-walled containers. You've seen them as, Tervis, but Yeti. Specifically, I guess for me, it's Yeti, but I mean, Tervis was a thing. And it's this big, amazing thing. Oh my God, you'll love it. You have to get one. I was actually given one. I was actually given one, and I understood the principle of a double-walled beverage container. By the way, check it out. I've already decked it out with my Dr. Wily. I escaped from the Escape Game Orlando. And my sticker from the Scan TV 24. May you ever rest in peace. I was given one of these for Christmas, and I understood the idea. But, there's only so much you can get excited about a container. Oh, that's good. Then I actually started using it, and it is really nice. I put it, so if I'm going to work, I'll take that and I'll stop at the Wawa and I'll fill it up with coffee. And once you put that lid on there, that coffee stays hot for hours. I mean, it can be hours and hours later, and I'll open it up and it'll still be so hot that I'll have to sip it, which is great. So I'd take that to work, and then once I'd finish my coffee, I'd go and I'd rinse it out, and then I'd fill it up with soda or something, and with some ice cubes, and that worked really well too. So I mean, they're great, but what the strange thing of the whole thing is that everyone's so amazed about it, because it's not a new thing. I mean, Yetis and Tervises are more new, but it's called a thermos. Thermoses have been around for ever, and they're great. I had thermoses. I still do. I have a big old thermos that I'll use if I didn't get very much sleep the night before and I need to go into work. I'll fill that up with coffee, and that's a great thing. It's a lifesaver. It's awesome. But we've had these. I mean, we've had these. Our parents have had these. Our parents, in their lunch boxes, a third of the lunchbox was a thermos. And, you could keep either a drink or soup or something like that. So I don't understand why it's so amazing to everybody, myself included, because begrudgingly, these are kind of great. Oh, and that coffee's great too. I'm having some coffee that my parents left during their last visit here in December. Some cinnamon and sugar cookie, basically like a snickerdoodle cookie coffee. It's really good. I have to admit, there's something else that I think is really, personally, deeply funny, but at the same time, kind of a stroke of genius on my part. So, I enjoy the memes. Memes are great. I'm on a few Facebook groups. For anybody that doesn't know, there's this term called shitposting, which is basically where you take a whole bunch of extra posts and memes and stuff, which might be a little funny, might be a lot funny, might be just random stuff, and you just post the crap out of them sometimes in places where they don't necessarily belong, but at the same time, I kind of enjoy seeing it. To a certain extent, my own personal Facebook feed does get shit posted a bit. I try not to on the Rich Does a Thing page, but it's tough because every time I see something funny, I just want to throw it up there. But there's a couple groups I'm a part of where you can't directly share it with someone else. And so I either have to save it to my phone, or in some cases there's really long memes, which are really best viewed on your phone because you can kind of scroll through the whole thing and read it. And I have a lot of trouble doing that on my computer. My computer won't do the whole zoom in super close and then scroll and read through. And so if I want to see it, I mean, how in the world am I going to do that? I could save it to my computer. I could try to zoom in. I could try to, I don't know. And I found out this fantastic hack, which I love. So everything that I want to be able to see on my phone device easily, I send. But I don't want to send it to someone. I don't want to send it to Jesse or another friend and be like, hey, I don't actually want to send this to you. I'm just trying to see it on another screen. Sorry, this is awkward. And no, so what I do is I send it to PayPal. Because every time I have a PayPal transaction, PayPal will pop up in my Facebook Messenger and say, hey, you just paid money to somebody, which is, a nice little alert system. But so what I do is I'm shitposting these memes to PayPal, to this bot. that can't see anything. And every time I do, it gets so confused and messages me back like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. What can I do to help? And really, I'm just shitposting memes to PayPal. So I like the idea in my head that there's some really confused, automaton in cyberspace that are getting my memes on the clock and just wondering what even. So I get a really nice giggle every time that I do that. But I'm also not afraid because, what are you going to do, PayPal? You going to block me? Huh? You're not. It's great. All right. Well, now is as about as good as time as any to get this show started. Let's go. We are back, and it's good to see everybody again. I'm excited to have yet another fun-filled episode, of Rich Does a Thing. Well, let's get us started. So here's somewhat of a new segment that I like to call Science! 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 Science. And pretty much what that will probably entail, well, it's going to be something scientific one way or the other. So I really like science quite a bit, and one of the things that I really think is so cool are these crazy scientific calculations. Something that can take something really extreme and make it more understandable. And that's really cool. One specific calculation that I liked, I kind of wanted to share with you guys, and that is thinking about the vastness of space. Now, I'm not even going to go with, all of space, because, that could be another topic for another day. I'm going to stick to our solar system. More specifically, it's going to be between the Earth and the Sun. So this is, our solar system is actually really impressive. So when you think of how big the planets are, you think of those planet scale models that you've seen, hanging in classrooms, the dioramas, the little rotating things that you've seen. And the scale of all of those has been way off. You have been lied to your entire life. Inadvertently lied to you because if things were to scale, it would be really difficult to actually observe everything properly. So let me give you an example. So the sun's big. We have a pretty decent-sized star. It's not like a super massive star. It's a decent size. Our sun, Sol, as it's called, that actually makes up 99.86% of all of the mass in the solar system. All of it. All the planets, all the everything. The sun is 99.86% of it all. The majority of the remaining 0.14% is actually contained within 8 planets. When I say majority, if we started calculating out the rest of the numbers, everything else past those planets essentially is zero. You get into so many decimals. Again, we want this to be digestible and easily recognizable for you guys. So, the combined mass of all of the moons in the solar system. To give you an idea, there are about 194 known moons. We say known because even the solar system itself is huge, and it's difficult to see everything. You think of the working visual knowledge we had of Pluto before and after this last flyby we had in the last couple of years or so. It was tough to see anything. So, 194 known moons. If you combine all the mass of all of that, that is actually less than 0.1% of Earth's mass. This planet that we're sitting on right now. It's pretty amazing. Now, also some other fun facts, fun statistics that we've got going on for the solar system. As far as asteroids in the solar system, we have roughly 796,289 known asteroids. Comets, we have 3,583 comets. That's on top of the planets, on top of everything else. It is a massive solar system. And okay, so the way I like to think about it for scale of things is, think of where you are. Look around at your house, wherever it is. Imagine how big that is. Now imagine how big your neighborhood is. And now past that, imagine how big your city or town is, which is pretty big. You can fit a lot of stuff within your town. And then figure out even bigger than that how big the county must be from there. And then from there, just how big your state is. An incredible amount of space, an incredible amount of stuff past the state. Just think of how that would expand to the whole country. And then from the whole country, just imagine how big like the continent is. And then from the continent, imagine we have all these different continents around the world, all 7 continents. And then on top of that, all the ocean, the huge amount of ocean that's there as well. And you've got Earth, and Earth is big. Earth is really big. There's a lot of stuff going on Earth, but there's still so many other planets that are even so much bigger than Earth. Now that being said, let's scale the solar system down. Let's scale everything down. Let's imagine that huge Earth that you just imagined in your head got shrunk down and shrunk down so small that it ended up being the size of the head of a pin. There. So that's how big the Earth would be in this scale model. I want you to imagine how big you think the sun is. In every model that you've probably seen, that you've probably read about or seen in a classroom, you're probably thinking the sun might be the size of, like, a golf ball? That would be pretty huge. That'd actually be really huge. Maybe not so much a golf ball. Maybe like a grape or something like that. Or maybe it's bigger than you thought. Maybe it's as big as like an apple. Maybe it's as big as an orange. Well, I will tell you, if you shrunk the Earth down to the size of the head of this pin, the sun, I kid you not, the sun would be the size of a basketball. This is the Earth. This is the sun. So, if you ever wonder, when you're standing outside in the middle of Orlando in the summertime, and you can feel the sun beating down on you, it's because this sun, this mass of hydrogen and helium, is just so ridiculously hot, and it's scorching the crap out of you on this tiny little head of a pin. Now, if I wanted to show you how far apart they are, because clearly they're not this far apart, that would be bad news for all of us. If I took this pin and stuck it in the ground right here, and then I wanted to move the basketball far enough away that in this scale model universe it would be exactly correct, it would be very difficult for me to show you, because I would have to stick this pin down in the ground, and then the camera would probably have to follow me as I moved 1.75 miles away. 1 3/4 miles away, and set the basketball down. So again, imagine that the bright super sun star thing from essentially 1 3/4 miles is so stupidly hot that its rays are blasting across the universe and giving you a sunburn. Giving me a sunburn, anyway. That is some really impressive stuff. Also, just for another scale thing. So yeah, we know Earth is not exactly the biggest planet in the solar system. If you want to know how big Jupiter would be compared to Earth, Jupiter really would be about the size of a grape. So yeah, I mean that's huge. But even Jupiter is nothing compared to the sun. Really impressive. Yeah, Jupiter is actually 11 times the diameter of Earth. So that means Jupiter's really big, but yeah, nothing compared to the sun. Other fun, interesting facts about the sun. So the temperature inside the sun can reach 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. 27 million degrees, which, by the way, is about 60,000 times the temperature that I cook a pizza at. So yeah, 60,000 times. You're going to burn your crust every single time. The coolest temperature, if you get to the surface of the sun in like one of the dark sunspots, like the coolest temperature that you can possibly really get to there, you're still looking at 7,300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is Still, just that's a bad day. If you have to go there to, I don't know, install Wi-Fi on the sun or something, you don't want to go there. You're gonna get real crispy real quick. So the sun is incredibly hot. And that, my friends, is a little glimpse into some science! Next up, oh man, we are once again going to check in on our own little favorite Florida's superhero, Florida Man. We actually have 3 stories coming to you this time of some of the antics of Florida Man. First up, a gator rescued from pool. Sounds like a very Florida thing, and it doesn't seem that crazy. So, a Florida man sporting a bandana, goggles, and a swimsuit, and that is it. Removed a 9-foot gator from a pool in Parkland, Florida. The gator had walked through the screen and into the pool. I haven't had a good-sized gator in a swimming pool in probably a year, so I was kind of looking forward to it when I got the call, said Florida Man. These are actually fun, he said, because the gator can't go anywhere and the water's almost always crystal clear, so all I have to do is jump in the water and play around with him until he's tired, and then I can either hold his mouth shut and tape it, or if he's super energetic, I can get him tired enough where I can just pick him up without the tape and carry him out into the yard, and then tape him up once I get out there, he said. Really amazing. So apparently this guy is a gator guy, which is, less of a just traditional drunk or stupid Florida man doing drunk and stupid Florida man stuff, but still kind of crazy. This is not something that I would be going out and doing, but so he's got no other equipment, and he just jumps into a swimming pool, with an alligator, a 9-foot alligator swimming around, and he's just playing with it and just swimming around. So you can actually find, there's a YouTube video from the Tampa Bay Times. If you check that out, you'll be able to find that. And yeah, he's just calm and playing around with it and getting it tired. And you even see there's a picture when you do a search. So dude's got this alligator up over his head. He's like waist deep in water, and he's just like, got it, just doing an alligator press. Let me just carry him out. Yeet. Ridiculous. So there's a Florida man for you. Second Florida man. So a 56-year-old Bradenton man is charged with felony aggravated battery after he hit his mechanic over the head with a golf club because it was taking too long to fix his truck. Anger management issues, methinks? So deputies say the victim was working on a truck belonging to a Florida man for several hours. Florida man then came out of his house and began yelling at the victim, at which point the victim told Florida man that he could just do the repairs himself and began packing up his tools, according to the sheriff's office. Florida man then walked to the back of his house, returned with a golf club. The victim continued to pack up his tools because, quote, didn't think he was going to hit me with it, according to the arrest report. At that point, the victim began walking away when he felt a heavy impact and hot pain at the base of his head. The victim turned to see a broken golf club in the hands of Florida man, then fled the area and called law enforcement. Upon arrival, deputies say that they found the victim stumbling in the roadway with blood running down his arms and neck. Deputies say Florida man admitted to the attack, which caused the victim to need stitches and further medical attention. That poor mechanic. That is really, really terrible. Shame on you, Florida man. At no point should you ever attack any service person, really ever, period. Maybe verbally for some of the really terrible ones, but honestly, no. But no, you don't attack someone with a golf club because they're not fixing your truck fast enough. Man needs to meditate or something. Just cool yourself down. Last but not least, this one seemed really interesting. A Florida man was arrested after spraying his neighbors with bug spray and swinging nunchucks at them before accidentally hitting himself in the head with the weapon. Classic Florida man. According to the police, a 61-year-old Florida man was complaining about his neighbor's loud music in the Daytona apartment complex. He then sprayed 4 of the neighbors with bug spray, swung his nunchucks at them, and hit himself in the head. He was charged with aggravated assault and battery with a deadly weapon. Which, at least he just hit himself. That is ridiculous. Bug spray and nunchucks. Do you keep those by the door to keep, the solicitors away? Just, oh, Jehovah's Witnesses are out there. Better get out the bug spray and the nunchucks. Just, especially was a 61-year-old guy. Can you imagine a 61-year-old guy like swinging his nunchucks and with a can of Raid and that's. Oh, Florida man. At least it seemed like the only person that he really hurt in that case was himself, and maybe made for some bug spray smelling laundry for some of his victims. Oh, goodness. What in the world would we do without your ridiculousness, oh, Florida man? And they say if you listen closely, you can still hear Florida man's call.
I am one part exterminator, one part ninja, and one part, ow, my face!
Last but not least, we have, some RICHcraft. So I actually did get a chance to go down to Sebring and be part of that Hogwarts Hogwarts celebration and undergraduate colloquium thing, which was really cool. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of house points built up. I earned some house points for Ravenclaw. Sadly, Ravenclaw lost. I believe it was the Hufflepuff that won this year, so they have their banner that's going to be displayed for another year. So I got a chance to do that. I got a chance to do some magic or some RICHcraft there. And I managed to get a bunch of it on tape as well. So we'll be slowly feeding you some of those pieces of RICHcraft as time goes on. And the first one I'm going to show you is actually the thing I started off with. It's one of those, it's maybe not exactly a classic of magic, but it's a fairly well-known piece among magicians, and it's called What's Next. So let me present that piece of RICHcraft to you.
So this is kind of a bit of Muggle magic. Now we call it Muggle magic because it's not so much actual magic. It just might have the perception that there's something more magical happening just using more Muggle abilities. For instance, if I said that there was a card that had 4 different sides, so on one side it actually had a spot, on the second side having 4 spots, now on the third side of it having 3 spots of it, and then on the fourth side of it having 6 spots, that might appear at first to be somewhat magical, because having 4 sides to a flat card with 1 spot on one, with 4 spots on the other, with 3 spots on, and then on 6 on the fourth would be kind of weird, except for when you think about it, if this were real magic, then we wouldn't have to be covering parts of it. That's kind of how the illusion happens, where there's not really 4 or 6 spots on that side. There's 5. There's not actually 1 or 3 spots on that side. There are, in fact, 2. It's just a matter of where you cover it is how you make that happen. Because if there were really 6 spots on the other side, it would look something a little bit more like that. If there were actually 3 spots on the other side, it would look something like that. And once you could actually do things like that, you could kind of put as many different spots on whatever sides as you wanted. Thank you very much.
Why, thank you. So that brings us to the end of yet another episode of Rich Does a Thing. So please go click that subscribe button down here at YouTube. I greatly appreciate every single one. It actually helps me out. We are slowly creeping towards our first goal of 100 people. That way we'll be able to get our custom URL for the YouTube page. Also, go to Facebook. Find Rich Does a Thing on the Facebook there. You'll get to find out when I'm doing streaming and everything like that there. Also, check me out at the Instagram, the Twitter, the Snapchat, the Who's-a-What's-its, the Insta Jiggles, the Snap Me Downs, the whatever it is. Find me. Find Rich Does a Thing. Get us connected, and yeah, we'll continue to have a blast with this thing. We're going to keep on trying to make some more of this happen for you. Thank you for coming to hang out with me, and until next time. Oh, coffee, how I love thee.